The golden rays of the Jamaican sun pierced through the slats of the white lace curtains in Jasmine Davis's childhood bedroom. It was the morning after her wedding. Her parents' modest Kingston home was still filled with the lingering scent of rum cake, jerk chicken, and perfume. Laughter and celebration had finally died down, replaced by the soft humming of a ceiling fan above the new bride's head. Jasmine, only 26 years old, lay in bed with a sleepy smile. Her fingers absent-mindedly played with the wedding band now resting on her ring finger. She was finally Mrs. Jasmine Thompson. Downstairs, her husband, Malik Thompson, 29, sipped coffee on the front porch with her father. His charm hadn't faded since their first meeting 3 years ago. To Jasmine's parents, Malik was a gentleman. Soft-spoken, respectful, educated. He worked as an IT technician and had just landed a remote job for a Canadian software firm. He spoke with a slow, deliberate cadence, always seeming composed. They had met at a teacher training seminar where Malik was setting up AV equipment, and Jasmine was presenting a workshop on classroom storytelling. She was smart, graceful, and had a quick wit that made Malik laugh out loud, something few people ever managed. They clicked instantly. As the wedding buzz faded, the couple packed their suitcases for the honeymoon destination they had talked about since their engagement, Ocho Rios. Nestled along the northern coastline, Ocho Rios was famed for its cascading waterfalls, powdery beaches, and all-inclusive resorts that promised indulgence and intimacy. Their choice of resort was exclusive, perched on a private bluff with panoramic views of the Caribbean Sea. A 5-day escape, booked in a deluxe oceanfront bungalow with butler service, champagne on arrival, and private access to a secluded beach. Friends on social media gushed over Jasmine's posts. One caption under a photo of her passport and plane tickets read, "Next stop, paradise with my person. Hashtag honeymoon vibes, hashtag newlyweds." But beneath the smiles, not everything was as perfect as the filters suggested. Jasmine had expressed doubts to her best friend, Shanae, in the days leading up to the wedding. A voice note from the night before the ceremony revealed a twinge of hesitation. "I love him, but I don't know. He gets angry over little things. He doesn't trust me like he used to. I just want peace, you know?" But Shanae had brushed it off as normal pre-wedding jitters. By the time the couple arrived at Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, holding hands and sipping coconut water, all seemed well. Jasmine looked radiant in a white off-the-shoulder sundress, her natural curls pinned delicately to the side. Malik was calm and collected in khaki linen and dark sunglasses. A resort driver met them at the airport holding a placard that read, "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, Moonlight Cliffs." The 90-minute drive along the coastal highway was lined with palm trees, reggae music on the radio, and soft laughter from the back seat. Jasmine leaned into Malik and whispered, "This is the beginning of our forever." He smiled, but his eyes, hidden behind the tint of his glasses, remained unreadable. At the resort, the staff welcomed them with champagne and fresh towels. The bungalow was exquisite. Mahogany floors, a canopy bed draped in white linens, an open shower facing the ocean, and a small plunge pool lit with underwater lights. 5 days, Malik whispered as he lifted her into his arms. 5 days of just us. No distractions. No one else. Jasmine giggled as he carried her through the door. But even then, something in his voice carried a weight that didn't match the moment. That night, as the couple dined on grilled lobster and drank wine under the stars, everything looked perfect. They toasted to their future, talked about starting a family, and made plans for waterfall hikes and couples massages. But the cracks were there, subtle but deep. Malik's phone buzzed during dinner. He glanced at it, frowning, and slipped it into his pocket without explanation. Jasmine noticed, and her smile faltered just a bit. Later that night, while she was brushing her teeth, Malik went through her phone. It wouldn't be the first time. By the second day of the honeymoon, staff began to notice minor arguments. Small things. Jasmine ordering drinks alone at the pool bar while Malik watched from afar. The butler heard shouting from their bungalow on day 3, but it stopped quickly. Still, Jasmine continued posting romantic pictures. A selfie of them under Dunn's River Falls. A boomerang video of them clinking glasses by candlelight. But her captions grew shorter. The emojis disappeared. One friend commented, "You'll look amazing smiling face with hard eyes, but you okay, Jazz? You've gone quiet." She never replied. By the evening of day 4, the couple signed up for a private beachfront dinner, lobster bisque, grilled snapper, and dessert under a moonlit sky. Jasmine wore a teal silk dress. Malik, a navy shirt and white trousers. The table was decorated with roses. A violinist played softly. It should have been the most romantic night of their lives. Instead, it would be Jasmine's last. The sun set slowly on the 4th day of Jasmine and Malik's honeymoon. The pink-orange sky bled into the ocean as if nature itself were painting a warning no one could read. That evening, their private beachfront dinner began with subtle tension. Jasmine barely touched her wine. Malik stared into the sea, his fingers drumming a rhythm on the table that didn't match the soft violin playing in the background. To any passerby, they looked like a couple savoring a romantic escape. But for the resort staff close enough to observe, it was clear something was off. Moments into the appetizer, Jasmine leaned forward, placing her hand on Malik's. "Can we just enjoy tonight? No questions. No suspicions. Just us." He didn't respond at first. Then, with an almost mechanical smile, he said, "Of course. Just us. No one else, right?" Jasmine's smile tightened. She took a sip of her water, her eyes darting away. The resort's head of housekeeping, Marva Grant, recalled entering the Thompsons' bungalow around noon while the couple was out. She found a smashed wine glass on the floor, shards swept into a corner, but not cleaned properly. The sheets on the bed had streaks of red, perhaps wine, perhaps blood. She assumed a romantic night had gotten messy. But in hindsight, she would describe it differently. The room was cold, not aircon cold, emotionally cold. Something wasn't right. In the master bathroom, Marva found Malik's phone unlocked on the counter. By habit, she turned it face down while wiping the marble top. On the screen had been a paused message thread. She only glimpsed a few words. "You lied to me. You were never done with him." That same afternoon, Jasmine was seen by another guest sitting alone by the infinity pool, her journal open in her lap. The guest, a British tourist named Helen Mott, said Jasmine looked like she'd been crying. She was trying to smile, like trying hard. Then this tall guy, her husband, came out and put his hand on her shoulder. She flinched a bit. "I thought, that's not a honeymoon moment. That's something else." Behind the tension lay a truth Malik had only recently uncovered. Jasmine, weeks before their wedding, had reconnected with Andre Blake, her colleague at the school. Andre, 28, was a laid-back literature teacher and a soft-spoken demeanor. He and Jasmine had dated briefly before she met Malik. The rekindled connection had started innocently enough, sharing lesson plans, discussing poetry. But a text thread Malik discovered before the honeymoon told another story. Malik had found the messages by accident, or so he claimed. Jasmine had left her phone unlocked while showering. Malik, suspicious for months, had been waiting for this moment. What he read rattled the foundation of their marriage. "Andre, you still dream about us sometimes?" Jasmine, "Sometimes. Don't you?" Andre, "Always." Jasmine, "Don't make this harder. I'm married now." That message was sent 2 days before the wedding. For Malik, that one thread was betrayal. His bride, the woman he had sacrificed and planned for, had entered their marriage with a lie buried in her pocket. In the days between discovering the texts and the honeymoon trip, Malik changed. Jasmine noticed his mood swings, his silence. He snapped over little things. A delayed reply, a male coworker's comment on her bridal post. He questioned her constantly. "Why did you invite Andre to the wedding? It was just a courtesy. He's part of the staff. Did you sleep with him before the wedding?" Jasmine insisted she hadn't cheated, that the messages were a mistake, that she regretted replying. But Malik's paranoia bloomed into obsession. He began checking her phone while she slept, asking pointed questions masked as jokes. "If I asked you to block every man you ever had feelings for, would you?" She laughed it off. He didn't. Jasmine's best friend Shanae had called her during the honeymoon but didn't get through. She left a voice note. "Girl, are you okay? Haven't seen your face in days. You vanish after that beach post. Call me, please." Jasmine never replied. Her journal, later found by investigators, held heartbreaking entries from the honeymoon. One entry, dated the night before her death, read, "I feel like I'm sleeping beside someone I no longer recognize. He looks at me like a stranger. I'm afraid to speak. I don't know if this trip will fix us or finish us." Back at the beachfront dinner, as the final course was served, chocolate mousse with a passion fruit drizzle, Malik leaned in and whispered something to Jasmine. The waiter passing by remembered seeing her freeze, her fork halfway to her mouth. She placed it down, stood up, and walked away barefoot across the sand toward their bungalow. Malik followed 5 minutes later, carrying both of their phones. Resort security camera footage captured the moment at 9:56 p.m. Jasmine entered the bungalow. Malik paused outside for 10 seconds. Then he stepped inside and quietly shut the door. That door would never open again, until it was broken down in a panic. When Jasmine and Malik stepped into their bungalow that night, the air inside was thick, not just from the humid Caribbean breeze, but from unspoken words and buried rage. The bungalow's romantic ambience. Rose petals on the bed, soft music playing from the Bluetooth speaker, and flickering candlelight, now felt like a cruel joke. Jasmine walked directly into the bathroom and shut the door behind her. Malik stood in the center of the room, staring at the bed. His hand tightened around her phone, the screen still glowing with the last message thread he had just read. One Jasmine had forgotten to delete. "Andre, I hope he treats you the way you deserve. If not, you know where to find me." Jasmine, "Don't. Please. Not now. I need to think." "Andre, still thinking about me on your honeymoon? That says everything." In Malik's mind, the room began to spin. He had been questioning Jasmine's loyalty for months. At first, he told himself it was all in his head, just old jealousy, just his imagination. But now there was proof, not of sex, not of physical infidelity, but of emotional betrayal. And to Malik, that was even worse. He paced the room, jaw clenched, replaying every moment. Her distant stares, her solo beach walks, her sudden silence during dinner. He had sacrificed everything for her, helped her clear her student loan, supported her mother's hospital bills, even took the honeymoon on his own dime when the wedding expenses ran high. Now he believed she was thinking about another man, while lying next to him. Jasmine emerged from the bathroom wearing a robe, her hair tied up in a bun. She looked at Malik, who hadn't moved from the center of the room. "Can we talk tomorrow?" she said, clearly tired. "I just want to sleep." Malik didn't respond. Instead, he held up her phone. "Still thinking about him on our honeymoon?" he asked, his voice low and shaking. Jasmine's eyes widened. "You went through my phone again?" "Again?" he scoffed. "If I didn't, I'd still be lying here like a fool." Jasmine stepped toward him. "It wasn't what it looks like. I told him I needed space. I didn't invite it. You didn't stop it either. Malik, we are married. I chose you. I just needed closure." "Closure?" he snapped. "You needed closure with him while we're honeymooning in paradise?" Jasmine's voice cracked. "Please, can we just not do this here?" "Why not? Because you're embarrassed? Because you finally got caught being the woman I was afraid you were?" Her mouth opened to speak, but nothing came out. In the statement Malik would later give to police, he claimed he didn't remember picking up the knife. He said everything went black. But crime scene investigators believe otherwise. The kitchen knife was not from their room. It was from the main service kitchen, located at the back of the resort. Malik had left the bungalow earlier that day, around 3 p.m., for over 25 minutes, telling Jasmine he was taking a walk. Resort CCTV showed him entering the staff kitchen unattended. The footage wasn't reviewed until after the murder. He had planned this, at least part of it. Back in the bungalow, as the shouting escalated, guests in the nearby suite heard Jasmine scream, "You're scaring me!" Then a loud crash, then silence. When the resort's private butler arrived with the couple's requested dessert, Jasmine's favorite, coconut rum cake, he knocked softly on the door at 10:15 p.m. No response. He knocked again. Still nothing. Concerned, he called the night manager, who tried the house phone. Still no answer. 20 minutes later, security arrived. They knocked, shouted. Nothing. Finally, they broke the door down. The scene inside was unforgettable. Jasmine was lying on the bed, motionless, her robe soaked in blood. There were 19 stab wounds, 5 to her chest, 2 defensive wounds on her hands, several more across her abdomen and back. She had likely died within minutes of the first blow. The knife lay on the floor beside the bed. Malik was gone. Security scoured the resort, but there was no sign of him. A pair of bloodied footprints led out the back door of the bungalow toward the cliffside path that winded toward the public beach access. He had taken Jasmine's phone, his own phone, and his wallet. Within hours, a manhunt began, stretching from Ocho Rios through the rural villages of Saint and Parish. The police issued a national alert. Malik Thompson, age 29, 6 feet 1 inch, medium build, last seen wearing a navy shirt and no shoes, was now the prime suspect in the brutal murder of his wife. Back in Kingston, news broke the next morning. Jasmine's family collapsed in disbelief. Her father fainted on the spot. Her mother refused to believe it. Shanae, her best friend, went numb. She told me she was worried, that he wasn't the same. But I thought it was just honeymoon pressure. I should have told her to come back home. Meanwhile, Andre Blake, whose name would soon be plastered across headlines, was questioned by police but ruled out of any involvement. He broke down in tears during the interview. I never meant to come between them. Cared about her, yes, but I didn't think it would lead to this. When asked if Jasmine ever said she was afraid of Malik, Andre replied, "Not in words, but in the silence between her messages." Jasmine's lifeless body was found on the bed, soaked in blood. The luxury honeymoon suite at Moonlight Cliffs had become a crime scene. Security and staff were in shock. No one had heard a thing, just muffled arguing and then silence. Malik had vanished. The knife was found on the floor. CCTV footage showed him slipping out the back of the resort around 10:20 p.m., barefoot and carrying a bag. A manhunt began. Police launched an island-wide search. Malik had no car, no passport, just cash and a stolen phone. A cab driver came forward the next day, saying he picked up a barefoot man near Fern Gully Road who paid in cash and looked haunted. The man asked to be dropped near Runaway Bay. The driver tipped off police, who zeroed in on abandoned huts and coastal cabins nearby. Malik was found 36 hours later, hiding in a broken fishing hut. He surrendered without a fight, looking exhausted and dirty. At the police station, he confessed, "I lost it. She said she loved someone else. I didn't want to kill her. I just couldn't breathe." He cried during the confession, but showed little remorse. Jasmine's family was devastated. Her father said he couldn't even look at her wedding photos. Her mother collapsed at the morgue. Malik's family was stunned. His mother refused to believe he could do it. Jamaica watched in horror as news outlets aired their wedding video beside footage of Malik in handcuffs. The trial began 6 months later. The courtroom was packed. Prosecutors called it premeditated murder. Malik had taken the knife from the kitchen hours before. His defense argued crime of passion and emotional breakdown. But the evidence was clear: text messages, planning, and his escape. The jury took just 3 hours. Guilty. Malik received life in prison without parole. The resort added guest wellness protocols and security upgrades. Jasmine's school held a memorial and launched a scholarship in her name. The nation discussed domestic violence more openly. Her story became a warning. Even paradise can turn deadly behind closed doors. Jasmine dreamed of a perfect honeymoon. Instead, she died at the hands of the man she trusted most. Malik let jealousy and obsession destroy everything. Now her story lives on, not in wedding albums, but in court records and crime documentaries. A beautiful life, stolen by rage, in the middle of paradise.